This episode of the New Medical Nomads podcast is brought to you by Nomadicare. Now, personally, I love Nomadicare. I've used Nomadicare, and I recommend the company to all new travelers. What Nomadicare does is it takes the fear out of getting set up with a bad recruiter, which is the biggest fear that you have jumping into this journey. So they sit down, they interview recruiters, they vet them, get them on a list, and then provide them to you as a free service, as a free recruiter matchmaking service in order to get you started on your journey. Now, usually you only get 2 recruiters going through Nomadicare, but being a listener of the show, you can get 3. So this is how it's going to work. You go to nomadicare.com/Dylan. You will get set up with 3 recruiters to be on your dream team, as well as a guide to get you started on your journey.
Phil Light, where are you at in the world right now?
Well, I am in the lovely city of Fresno, California.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the New Medical Nomads podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Dylan Callier, and today I have a very special guest with me, Mr. Phil Light, and we are going to be talking about the Travelers Conference, TravCon, and the Travelers Association. But Phil, can you please tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your travel journey?
Okay, I'm an emergency room nurse, and I worked locally as an emergency room nurse for a number of years before finding out about traveling, following a career in EMS as a paramedic. And I met somebody who had worked one contract. I'd never heard of it, and it sounded interesting. And about maybe 1999, I think that was, followed it for a number of years on a travelers forum online, and finally decided to take the leap in 2005 to take my first travel assignment. I planned to work 1 year. I was just going to do it for 1 year to pay off a credit card bill that I had back then. And here I am quite a few years later, still doing it. 13 years later.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you are a founder of TravCon, or the Travelers Conference, and you're also president of the Professional Association for Nurse Travelers. When did you kind of decide to become an influencer in the field?
Well,
or maybe why?
This internet forum called Travel Nurses and Therapists, TNT, it's a Delphi forum, existed for many years, and I was very active on that. And as soon as I began traveling, and even before that, I recognized that there was no common voice for travelers. We didn't have a union, which was an impossibility at the time, being multi-state. There were a lot of rogue agencies out there, predatory agencies even, that took advantage of naive travelers. And I felt we talked online about the need to form an association on TNT. Okay. So it was really founded out of that forum, which the association now owns. It still exists, and it really was, originally our goal was to try to get health insurance for travelers, because that was a problem. A lot of agencies did not offer health insurance, and we thought that as an association, perhaps we could purchase group health insurance, but that turned out to not be the case because of the diversity of state laws. It made it impossible to organize in that way. But that's how we started. We talked about it for a couple of years, and then we just took the leap. We got a grant from one agency owner who thought it was a great idea. A lot of agency owners thought it was a terrible idea, because education is not good for people who are hoping to take advantage of someone. But we got a nice grant from what was his name? Greg Allen. He used to own Cirrus Medical Staffing. He no longer owns that company. Gave us $1,000. We opened a website, got a lot of volunteers, and we dove in, and we formed the association, the Professional Association of Nurse Travelers, PAN Travelers. We were really excited when we got our first 100 members. Now we have 13,000 members.
Wow,
But,
that's amazing. That is
I
amazing.
remember the days when we were struggling. I remember how excited we were when we got 10 members.
That is awesome. That is awesome. We'll come back to Pan Travelers, but can you tell and talk a little bit about the story behind TravCon and how that came?
Sure. So they're very related. Education is a prime mission goal of the association, and me and another association officer met with Joseph Smith and someone you may know, Candy Treft, previously quite active in the traveler community. I think she was the gypsy nurse for a number of years. We just met and had a brainstorming session in a hotel room in San Francisco, and discussed how nice it would be to have an annual meet and greet conference, some kind of a formal thing for travelers to meet together and network and commiserate and whatnot. So it started off expecting it to be just a very small gathering, 20, 30 people. It quickly grew because of people got really excited about it. And the first year we actually had about 150 travelers, which was huge back then. There had never been that many travelers in one place ever before. We've always had it in Las Vegas, but we've learned a lot. I think our budget the first year was $2,000 or $3,000, $4,000. We have a budget considerably bigger than that now. But it was organized the same way as the Travelers Association, as a nonprofit. It's actually a charity, and we have no advertisers that we have to be accountable to. We don't endorse any agencies. We are interested in only the benefit of travelers. That's the association and TravCon. That's our goal. Our customers are travelers and not agencies or people wishing to sell a service or product to travelers. So
absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being a pioneer of this kind of transparency that's coming into the field. I know there is a lot of information out there right now, but when I was looking into this, even just 5 years ago, there was not that much information. So I feel like a lot has changed with the amounts that travelers have available to them now. And I can only imagine that there wasn't that when you started. So thank you so much for that.
This is an exciting time. Really, it's only been in the last few years, 3 years, where even the term transparency has become commonplace in the travel industry. And the old guard, there's still a few around, are still pretty negative about the idea of transparency, but even some of them are coming around to the idea that they need to be more transparent with their travelers. And of course, travelers like that, they can make better decisions if they have all the facts.
Very good. Very good. Coming back to Pan Travelers, is Pan Travelers just for nurses, or is it for all travelers?
It is for all travelers. Of course, unfortunately, our name has the word nurse in it. As did TravCon originally. We toyed around with having the name nurse, and certainly nurses are our most common attendees, and in case of the association, the most common members. But no, we have information that's applicable to any allied person and any allied traveler, as well as nursing. We have benefits that are for any traveler, any healthcare traveler.
Yes. And if you are a listener and looking into, you can go to the Pan Travelers website, and they have an amazing calculator on there that allows you to calculate blended rates. I've used that quite often, and also a whole bunch of other information. So definitely
that's our most popular page.
So definitely something to put in the favorites tab and come back to, because there's just so much good information in there for all travelers. In TravCon as well, I first attended when I wasn't even a traveler yet and got to really get started on the right foot. And so you all had a newbie boot camp that I went to. It was very affordable, got to sit down and just learn about just how to get entered into this whole travel game, and just helped me out so much. Like I couldn't imagine trying to figure this all out on my own. I'm so glad that there was some information out there in order to help me kind of get started in all of this.
Until we came along, there really was no source of information out there except for small things like forums on the internet that the information wasn't colored by some commercial purpose. Certainly, recruiters are happy to give you advice, but their advice is always going to put their agency in the best possible light. That's just it's nothing to cast blame. That's just the nature of a commercially supported enterprise.
Absolutely.
Whereas now with TravCon, people can come and get very unbiased information. We work really hard to make sure all of our presentations are not have no commercial purpose. We do offer CEUs, or continuing education, for our travelers, and we're working on improving that for Allied. Working hard on that.
I got a few credits out of it. It was good. Yeah.
If you come again this year, you'll get a few more.
All right.
Well, it's easy. It's tough to be certified to provide continuing education for every discipline. We have a number of people working on it. The application process is daunting for both nursing and Allied.
Got it.
Allied's one of those terms that means so many different things.
It is. It's a big mud of a group. But yeah, if you're a listener and looking for TravCon is a yearly or an annual conference that everybody gets together and kind of learns. Usually in September, always in Vegas. It's very cheap. I think I spent this year's going to be $150 on a ticket to go. And then the most expensive part was my flight to get there. And then everything else is provided to you, whether it be through the conference for lunch, or there's a lot of meet and greets afterwards for dinner and things like that by the vendors for those that you connect really well with and want to learn more on a personal basis. Definitely worth checking out if you are a traveler or thinking about traveling. It's one of the best ways to experience Vegas.
People seem to enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Vegas is actually not my favorite town, but it's the ideal venue for a conference like this.
Absolutely. Coming back to Pan Travelers, does Pan Travelers have a mission?
We do. I don't have my mission statement in front of me to read to you, but basically we are educational and advocacy. Education and advocacy are our two primary missions. So we advocate for travelers individually. We have many times stepped up with our attorney. We have an attorney on staff that will defend a traveler against an unethical business practice, a contract dispute. We fight generally in the industry for fair practices, fair contracts. We've fought successfully against a widely distributed blacklist that was occurring a number of years ago. That travelers who were a member of this organization, or agencies that were a member of this organization, just maintained this blacklist of bad travelers. What constituted bad could have been that they left them and went to another agency, or they said something bad about them online or something like that. So there's no way to dispute this, no way to appeal it. And it turned out to be illegal, and our attorney fought that. There was a practice that was occurring where agencies were first charging unreasonable penalties for travelers that needed to cancel a contract early for one reason or another, or got canceled by the facility, and they would charge this penalty that had no basis in reality, a very high dollar, and then they would turn them over to a collection agency. So we fought that, and really that practice is largely discontinued now.
Wow, that is amazing.
We've had some legislative initiatives trying to improve the law around laws that affect travelers, tax laws and whatnot.
Awesome.
We didn't do too well last year on that, though. We've lost a lot of our benefits for traveling,
Right.
tax advantages.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a great time to travel.
Absolutely.
The job orders are up, the pay is up. There's a lot of great reasons to decide to travel right now.
Yeah. And you guys provide so much free information. If I go to the website, I can get most of it. If I sign up for a free membership, I can also get a lot of good information.
Right.
What are some of the benefits of becoming a paid member?
Well, the main one, well, there's two. We do hold back some of our content just so we have something more to offer to our paid members. In-depth articles. We have short articles, and then the paid members really get to drill down deeply into the subject and find a lot of information. We have a very deep knowledge base. And the other most expensive benefit that we offer is legal services. We do maintain a staff attorney, an employment expert who will defend a traveler who is the victim of an unfair business practice of some type, or there's been a lot of different situations where people have needed legal help. Mm-hmm. It's not general legal assistance, so we won't help you sue your ex-husband for child support. But but if it's related to your travel contract, our attorney will help you. And that's we don't really push the paid memberships because we have enough. We have enough reserves to pay those fees, the cost of the website, the cost of the legal defense, and we pay writers to write, but we have adequate reserves to pay all of that, and so we don't push the paid membership. We don't really have. We're not selling it, but it does support. You do add your voice if you join either as a free member or a paid member. You add your voice to the association who represents agencies. Listen to us now. They know that we represent thousands of travelers' interests, and they pay attention when we say something. They know that there's likely to be an article showing up that will point out bad behavior when they do it. And we see a lot less of that now. We think we've had a big impact on behavior of agencies, and those predatory agencies that I was talking about are going away. They aren't going to be. There's a few, but not many, and even they are changing their practices to some extent.
Yeah, that is such a amazing resource. And from what I remember, I don't remember the membership fee off the top of my head, but there was a lifetime membership fee. Like you pay once and you're done. And
there is, and it's pretty popular. I'm sorry, I don't even know how much it is. It's $250 or something like that for a lifetime membership. I should have come prepared. I'm not a very good salesman if I don't know how much it costs to join the association, but we keep it rock bottom, minimal. What it costs us to do the business of the association is what we charge for our memberships, and we review our budget. But we haven't increased it in at least 6 or 7 years. We have not increased the cost of membership.
Yeah, that's amazing. And just the whole legal side of it as well, because I know of just so many like very specific items that need to, kind of be handled by a professional. So you guys having a professional on staff in order to help those specific instances is finally a place for a traveler to go to for those questions.
Our attorney is actually the only paid person in the association. We don't. If we get more members that pay dues, we don't make more money. I don't make any money. So and nobody does. We're all volunteers ourselves. So there's no financial incentive for us to collect any more than we need to perform the mission of the association. And we did that on purpose because we really didn't want to be accused of taking advantage of travelers. Our goal was to make it harder for travelers to be taken advantage of. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. What are some of the challenges that the association is facing?
right now, we are focused on improving the entry level education. We just went up the stairs behind you. The entry level educational level of travelers. We want them to understand what they're walking into. A lot of people think that travel is a good way to get rich, and it's not really, and that shouldn't really be your primary motivation for traveling. It should be some other reasons, such as professional development, learning new skills, going to work at a major tertiary trauma center, or looking for an area where you may eventually want to settle down. There's lots of personal reasons for people to travel, and certainly money is one of them. But the best reasons are more personal, which is true of the professions that we're all in anyway. If your only motivation for going into this line of work is to get a paycheck, you probably picked the wrong profession. We are looking at laws that affect the tax burden on travelers. Joseph Smith, our CFO, I don't know if you know who he is. He runs travel tax and is the leading expert on taxes for travelers in the country. Has been talking to us about a Senate bill that's out right now that might restore some of the losses we took last year when the tax reform bill was passed, that took away some of the advantages, tax advantages to travelers.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of changes, and people should definitely catch the tax seminars this year at TravCon, because there's a lot of area to cover in the tax changes.
Yes. That's where I first met Joseph Smith of Travel Tax, and his name and his expertise has come up on the show quite often. And so if you're a listener and you want more information, I did see the post about the Senate bill. You can find him on Travel Tax on Facebook or traveltax.com. He's posting pretty regularly there as well.
So we will be lobbying in favor of that bill.
Okay.
And we are organized. The association is organized in a way that we can lobby for political action, whereas TravCon is an actual charity, and they cannot lobby for any political goal. So that works out well.
Fantastic. That's awesome. What are some other challenges that you think travelers face, or that travelers face, that you guys are kind of aimed at or would like to be made aware?
It seems daunting when you look at travel from the outside, and it is. There's a lot of information to take in, but we are trying to simplify and remove stress from travelers who wish to embark on this career path. So I think at this point we're perfecting that path. We're perfecting a way to get travelers fully grounded in with information that's needed to enter this career path with less stress, with knowledge, with a better understanding of what to expect. A lot of people walk into healthcare travel with unrealistic expectations and a lot of fear. So if we can take fear away from people that want to travel, we will meet our goal, and I think we're succeeding in that. There's no major challenges right now other than doing what we've been doing for the last 10 years, which is trying to improve conditions, make them more humane and fair for travelers, and getting travelers prepped and up to speed so that they are able to walk into this with their eyes open and feel less stress about the whole career path.
Absolutely. I 100% support that, which is one of the reasons I interview guests on the show, so we can kind of tease out the stories, kind of get their experiences and basically learn from their mistakes and learn from what they've done right. But speaking of stories, did you have a favorite travel story that you wanted to share?
You sent me that question ahead of time, and I really thought about it. I had a hard time coming up with anything. A lot of things have happened, but I've had a pretty uneventful career. It's gone well. I did work for one bad agency. I learned a lesson there. There was stories that could be any ER story. The day, for instance, that somebody came into the emergency department and shot one of our patients because he didn't shoot them well enough earlier in the day. That was at a major trauma center. I won't say which one. Or finding myself working. I took a job as an ER traveler, just another ER travel assignment, and within a short time, I found myself to be a nursing administrator, which was an unexpected, and did that for the better part of a year. There was one assignment that I started where the entire nursing management and 8 nurses were fired the day before I started. That was an interesting assignment. I believe they had all committed a HIPAA violation, looking into some celebrity's medical record inappropriately. Let that be a lesson to everybody. And 12 or 13 people were fired over that. And that was my first day on a job. It was early on in my career, so I was not all that sure of myself. And I worked a lot of overtime on that. But I've enjoyed my assignments. Even the worst assignments, I usually manage to enjoy. It's all about the people you work with. It's not about how fancy the hospital is or even the pay, although I tend to get pretty good pay wherever I work. I just have made lifelong friends with every assignment there. Over 12 years, 13 years, I have somebody from every assignment that I communicate with regularly. And that group of friends, it's the biggest group of friends that I have on like Facebook and Twitter are people that I've met while traveling. And that's just been great.
It's amazing.
I often go back to the same hospital. I may leave for 6 months or a year and then go back and work another assignment at the same hospital. And it's like homecoming.
That's gets me so amped for more experiences and getting out there and taking more travel assignments. Especially, kind of going through the nitty gritty ones of the ones where you really have to kind of grind and stick it out. That there's still a reason why you travel. There's still a reason why you go out and keep doing this every day.
I'll tell you what, it's the bad assignments that make you a better traveler. The easy ones anybody can do. So if you have a challenging assignment, a difficult schedule, a bad culture in the hospital or a facility, or staff resentment. There's a few hospitals out there that resent travelers. So I look at that as an opportunity to correct that. When I'm start at a new facility and there seems to be resentment of travelers, which is not common, but usually they're glad to see you coming. But sometimes they resent travelers. They have a misperception that we're taking something away from them, and they have a misconception that we're overpaid. Full-time staff are really more expensive for a hospital than travelers because they get all of the other benefits. They get vacation days and sick days and retirement and things that we don't get ordinarily from that the hospital is not paying for with us. So
absolutely. That was a shock to me, finding out that information, but I think there was a 6 months ago, there was an article that came out and that really went into why travelers were a cheaper alternative than a permanent employee. I don't know if that's the case for every single assignment or more so for the, bigger hospitals. But yeah, that was a very big shock to me to find that out.
In general, travelers are well paid. As far as wages go, they're well paid, but they often do not have those expensive benefits that your coworkers may not even think about. They think, well, I'm making $50 an hour. Excuse me. But they're really making $80 or $90 an hour if they looked at their total pay. What is contributed to their 401k or 503b, what their workers' compensation costs, what their health insurance is such a big part of the cost of employing somebody. And the hospitals are not paying for that. We're paying for it out of the bill rate. I teach a seminar on I give a presentation on negotiating a contract in newbie boot camp at TravCon, and always make sure I try to get travelers to understand these things, and that nothing is free. There is no free housing. There's no free anything. You're paying for it all, and if they understand that, they can negotiate a contract a little bit easier, and they can also defend themselves when coworkers, full-time staff seem to resent them. Let me get a drink here.
Oh, you good?
I am allergic to Fresno, California. Fresno, California is, probably the biggest agricultural center in the United States.
Wow.
And there's a lot of pollen and dust in the air that I'm not used to. And I am indeed allergic to it. I'm not allergic to anything. And I've never had allergies.
Just to Fresno. I'll take note of that because I got seasonal allergies for every season. So everything can be dead around me. I'm still allergic to something out there.
So I'm going to be working this assignment through July, and then I'm going to take off for the rest of the year, mainly to get ready for TravCon.
Wow.
It's a far busier job than my real job, getting ready for TravCon. We're going to probably have 1,300, 1,400, 1,500 travelers at the conference this year. This is a big. In the lowest years, 2009, when the big crash happened, I think we had 20 attendees. So
got it.
We've seen some ups and downs.
Last year, I found out that you guys actually meet, we have the conference, and then once the conference is over, you meet as the leaders of the conference and start planning for next year's event.
We meet immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. We used to sit down and decide, well, where should we have it next year? And we'd start looking around, and venues quickly fill up in Las Vegas. And now we have to schedule the venue 2 or 3 years in advance.
Wow.
So yes, we have to start planning. We have to take a look at market activity and try to decide, is it growing? Is it flat? Or as was the case in 2009, is it taking a dive?
Yeah.
And because although we don't get to keep any of this money, we're stewards of a large amount of money from both exhibitors that basically subsidize the travelers and the travelers. We have to do the best possible job with that money. We're responsible for it. And we want to be good stewards, and we want to spend it in the most logical way, practical way, to give the biggest bang for the buck. So it takes a lot of planning. We have so much more in the way of educational presentations this year. It grows every year. We have 4 rooms going simultaneously throughout the entire conference this year, which is a big change from what it was years ago.
Absolutely. And I know that was just a big change from this past year, because last year we had 3, and it was already hard enough to decide which one I was going to go to.
I'm sorry, but you're going to have to make a choice. We aren't repeating very many of them. There are very few of them that are repeated. So you're just going to have to pick a track and stick to it. But there's lots of great offerings. If you walk into a presentation and see it looks a little crowded, there's another great presentation happening in another room. Just walk down the hall.
Absolutely.
And
just another reason to go multiple times.
That's right. We do repeat some of the talks year after year. So if you do miss something one year, there's a good chance you'll be able to see it another year.
Got it. Well, thank you so much.
I just want to say that the TravCon event has become a family event for many travelers. You make friends that you only see at TravCon, but it is like a homecoming. When people get together, they're so happy to see each other, and they make plans to go out and do things in the evenings, attend some of these great free parties that we have. And I think that's one of the best functions that we offer, best services we offer, is because travelers often feel isolated. They're away from their support group, their friends and family. We are their friends and family, and we get together every year with them for a week. Usually a lot of people come early and stay late. And I think that's one of our most valuable functions is the social aspect.
Is there anything else regarding TravCon, regarding Pan Travelers, that you would want travelers to know about?
No, I think we've covered most of it. The Travelers Association is very dear to my heart. It's the closest thing we have that travelers have to a union. We look out for trends in the industry that are bad for travelers, and we've got your back. And if you would, I think everybody should join at least as a basic member. It doesn't cost anything to join as a basic member, and it does add credibility to our voice when we're trying to influence legislators or agency owners that need correcting.
Got it.
Need a little tune-up. And as for travelers, TravCon, it's just the best thing ever. And you've got to come if you're a traveler. If you want to think about traveling in the future, you've just got to come. You'll learn what you need to learn, and you're going to have such a good time.
It is so fun, and the people that you get to meet. It's
so fun to be a part of that, and it's one of the best parts of my life. I'm very service oriented. I'm an old Boy Scout. I like to do a good deed every day, and this is one of the best deeds that I get a chance to help provide is putting on TravCon.
That's amazing. Well, listeners, if you are looking for the registration link for TravCon, I will put that in the show notes. Also, if you are looking to be a member of Pan Travelers, I'll put that in as well. And especially for maybe travelers out there listening right now that are going through a little bit of a legal issue, a contract issue, and you're looking for that next step, that link will also be in there for the paid membership as well.
Having said that, we do have a rule. You have to be the problem has to occur at least 30 days after you first join.
Okay.
It's like you can't buy car insurance after you have the wreck.
Okay.
Right.
So get on it now, and then you'll be covered.
You'll be prepared if something happens, and things do happen all the time.
Yes. So. Well, Phil, if any of the travelers or any of the listeners had any questions, where would they best be able to contact you?
They can email me at phil@travelersconference.com or phil@pantravelers.org. Either one of those email addresses will come right to my inbox.
Fantastic. So Nomads, be sure to reach out to Phil in those avenues. We also have a group, New Medical Nomads, on Facebook that you can join and ask questions there as well. And if you are listening and looking for the next official launch of this, it's the New Medical Nomads podcast page on Facebook. And as always, if you are listening through iTunes, on YouTube, wherever. Liking, thumbs up, comments, all that engagement helps us get this information out to more individuals and helping out more people that listen as well, which is ultimately the goal of this podcast. So again, thank you so much, Phil, for coming on and talking about the Travelers Conference and the association and for everything you're doing for us. It's really amazing and really propelling us forward as an industry.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And for all the listeners, everybody have safe travels.